I don't know what's been funny to hear this offseason. Packers and Bears fans going back and forth about the 2025 season and the 21-3 game in the wild card round, or Vikings fans continuing to be delusional and thinking J.J. McCarthy has a chance to win the starting job over Kyler Murray. All right, what is going on, guys? It is your boy, the Football Falcon, a.k.a. Shane, coming at you with another video. Obviously, the last one did pretty well and everybody enjoyed it. This is just my second video really doing predictions, so hopefully, guys, check the NFC South one if you haven't. I'll link it down below. Today, we're going to be doing the NFC North. Kind of requested by a couple people. I know a couple Packer fans and Bears fans are really interested to see what I think about their team. And yeah, man, we're here with the Chicago Bears, and let's get right into it. All right, so going off what we had from the last video, the Chicago Bears, I did have them sweeping the NFC South and getting 4 wins in that division, which honestly could go either way. I feel like a lot of these games are really just a toss-up. This is a very close league this year. I think a lot of things can go either way. But here we go. We got the Bears, obviously, starting the season, going to Carolina. I do have them winning that game. Excuse me. Week 2, they got the Minnesota Vikings at home, their home opener. And I said in the last video, I think the Vikings are going to start the season hot, and I think the Vikings are going to come away with this win. They did beat Chicago last year in Week 1. It was a Monday night game, so that'll be a fun one. Very, very interested to see how that game goes. But I'm going to take the Vikings in this one. Week 3, we got the Eagles. The Bears do host the Eagles. Week 3, the Eagles played them last year, and the Eagles, I think, lost that game. Pretty sure the Bears won that game. This is a Monday night game. This is going to be a fun one, man. I'm excited. I feel like the Bears are another one of those teams that are just kind of hard to predict this year. Are they going to regress and be, kind of a team that doesn't win those one-score games, or are they going to, continue to do what they did last year and win when it matters and be good when it matters with Caleb Williams? I'm going to take the Eagles in this one, though. I just think overall they're still a better roster on paper, better coach team. I know Ben Johnson's a great offensive mind, but I don't really trust the Bears defense this year, even though they have some certain pieces. Kind of a not talked about loss, even though it should be, is Kevin Byard. The interception leader from last year. I know he's 32 years old and he's a little older of a player, but losing a veteran like that and kind of replacing him with the rookie in the first round, that's just a lot to ask out of Dylan Thieneman out of Oregon. So we'll see how that ends up there, but I think the Bears defensively are going to have a lot of question marks. Obviously, their front seven's not the greatest, so I'm very curious to see how that plays out. Also, one thing I wanted to mention as well is I'm going to kind of input like some takes or some certain things about each team as I go through and predict them. For the Chicago Bears, I just think the front seven is going to be, a really struggling unit this year. So that's why I'll leave that at that. They got the New York Jets week 4. I do think they bounce back and get a win here. I think the Jets are, I said it last time we talked about the Jets. They're just a team that's a year away from being a year away. They got to get the quarterback right. They need defense still. But I think the Jets have, a chance to surprise this year and get a couple wins. But I'm going to have them lose this one to the Chicago Bears in Chicago. And here we go. This is where I'm going to lose or win some people over here. The Chicago Bears and Green Bay Packers rivalry. You guys heard it in the intro. These two teams, every time I get on Twitter, these two fan bases are just going at it back and forth. It's honestly quite hilarious just seeing it from the outsider view. I'm pretty sure people laugh at Falcon Saints comments, and stuff like that, or Falcon Panthers, Falcon Bucks stuff. I feel the same way when it comes to Bears Packers stuff. It's just so funny to see. Last year, the Bears did not beat the Packers the first time they played when they were a mostly healthy team. And then the 2 times they did win was in the playoffs and obviously in the second matchup. So I think the Bears are a good team and the Packers are a great team as well. When will Micah Parsons be back? That is the biggest question mark for the Packers, who we'll talk about later in this video. But I'm going to take the Bears to go into Green Bay and get a win here. I think Green Bay has got a solid roster, but they're just a team that's so hard to figure out what they're going to do. And is the run game going to be as good as it was 2 years ago? It was kind of disappointing last year. Don't know what Josh Jacobs is going to give you this year. Obviously, they didn't really add anything in the running back position. Receivers, they lose Dobbs. They're going to be counting on Matthew Golden a lot. They extend Christian Watson and Jayden Reed. Tucker Kraft, he's expected to be ready week 1, which is nice. But the Packers' offensive line really scares me. And thankfully for the Bears, their front seven doesn't have to be great against a bad O-line. But we'll see how that ages there. But I'm going to take the Bears to win this one in Green Bay. I do think these two teams ultimately split, though. I will probably take the Packers in the second matchup. But yeah, Thursday night after the Bears beat the Falcons, they got to host the Patriots. And I'm going to take the Patriots in this one. I know the Patriots made the Super Bowl last year and people were expecting them to regress and all that stuff. But I still think they're going to be a good team. Adding A.J. Brown is not a nothing burger. That is a big name to add. And I think he's going to be motivated. And we saw what happened when he went to the Eagles the year he got traded from the Titans. He was very, very good. And he was really good with the Eagles up until the last season he was there. So I think he's going to go and go to New England and be really good. And honestly, I'm going to throw this out there. You guys let me know if I'm crazy for saying this. But I think A.J. Brown is like, I don't think he's as good, obviously, but I'd say he's like a 65 to 70% of our like version of this era of Terrell Owens. Really, really good player, but man, he's just got, I know people call him a diva and all this, but he's an absolute dog on the football field. But there's just a lot of stuff that comes with it. It's like a caveat, you get a great player, it seems like, or a great receiver, and they're going to have some type of character concern. That just seems like the thing nowadays, Antonio Brown was really the start of that. Stephon Diggs, he's got baggage. Brandon Ayuk, don't get me started on him. That's just to name a few, but I do like A.J. Brown. I think he's going to be a great addition, and I think he's going to be one of the better receivers in the NFL this year, so I'm going to take the Patriots to win that game. That was a long tangent about the Patriots when we're talking about the Chicago Bears. But Week 8, they got the Seattle Seahawks. They play the two teams that were in the Super Bowl back-to-back weeks, and I'm going to take the Seahawks in this one Monday night. They do get a little long break, but they got to travel to Seattle, so that's kind of a tough break for them. I think it's just a tough matchup for the Bears, honestly, and I think another big thing, other than the Bears' defense really being a struggle, is can Caleb Williams be consistently accurate? Because he wasn't last year, really wasn't in the playoffs. If you look at his playoff metrics, just really wasn't that great in the playoffs, and we need to see more of that. We need to see improvement in year 3, a big year 3 for Caleb Williams and the Bears' offense. Week 9, I have them beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They go on a bye week. They host the Saints and get a win there. And then they go to Detroit on Thanksgiving, and I'm going to take the Lions in this one. I think the Lions have just had the Bears' number the last few years, and I just think they got the better offense. I like Caleb Williams and what he does, but it's just going to be tough. It's going to be a tough game to win on the road on Thanksgiving. Just a tough atmosphere. Bears get a little bit of a long break here, and they get the Jacksonville Jaguars. And, man, the Jaguars are a team. I'm not the highest on the Jags coming into this year. I know a lot of people are high on Liam Cohen and stuff after a 13-win season, but I am going to take the Bears to win this one. I do like the Jaguars in some aspects, but I don't really like the draft. We don't know what Travis Hunter is going to be as being the second pick last year. If he can step up and, he's going to play corner more, that could be a big, big help for them. But it's just an unknown right now, so it's kind of hard to predict that. But I'm going to take the Bears in this game. Then they go to Miami and play Malik Willis and the Dolphins. I'm going to take the Bears in this one. I just think Miami is one of the worst rosters in the league right now. I don't think that's crazy to say. And Jeff Hafley, obviously, being a complete question mark as head coach. He's never been a head coach, so we don't know what we'll be getting there. And then they got to go to Buffalo. And this is their hardest part of the schedule, I would say. They got a 4-game stretch, 2 home games, 2 away games. They go to Buffalo. They host Green Bay, host Detroit, go to Minnesota. I'm going to go pretty quick with these because I kind of have an idea how this is going to go. I'm going to take the Bills to win this one in Week 15. It's on a Saturday, too, which is kind of weird. But it's just going to be one of those games that, like, man, I just feel like Josh Allen's just going to be Josh Allen this game. There's those games in the year where he just takes over games. I feel like that's going to happen. What's really unfortunate for them is not only do they got to play on a Saturday the week prior, so they got a 6-day break in between the Dolphins game and the Bills game. Then they get another 6-day break, and they got to play on Christmas against the Packers. That's very tough, and I'm going to take the Packers to win that game. But thankfully, on the good side of that, they do get a little bit of a longer break to play the Lions on January 3rd. At home, cold environment. I'm going to take the Bears here. I do think the Bears get the job done. And then ultimately they finish the season going to Minnesota, and I will take the Bears in that one as well. I think the Bears split with the Lions. Did I have them beat the Vikings twice? I think I had them splitting as well. Yeah, I did. So I got the Bears at 10-7. Is that going to be good enough to make the playoffs in this division? We will see. I'm pretty sure they went 10-7 or 11-6 last year, so I could be completely wrong on that, but that's where I got the Chicago Bears. I think they, at the very worst, could be a wild card team this year. And if Caleb Williams can improve, the inconsistencies that he's shown in his first 2 years in the league, then I think this team could be dangerous and even be a 12-13 win team. But just a lot of question marks, and I got the Bears at 10-7. Up next, we are going to be doing the Green Bay Packers. So let's go ahead and get started with them here as we go to Green Bay. All right, guys, we are here on the Green Bay Packers, and I've got them 5-1 already. Last year, I'm pretty sure this team went 10-7 or 11-6. They started out super strong, and then Micah tears his ACL against the Broncos. I'm going to say before I start the predictions and stuff, I think I'm going to start doing that before I do the predictions, like each team's biggest question mark and what really is going to happen. I think their biggest question mark as a team, and honestly I don't think it's crazy at all, is their health. If Jordan Love can stay healthy, he was even banged up last year. Josh Jacobs, he was banged up. Jayden Reed, he got hurt. Tucker Kraft, he tore his ACL. Their O-line suffered injuries, and they lost some guys on the offensive line this year as well. Is Micah going to be 100% when he comes back? Devontae Wyatt just got paid, and he's coming off an injury. The cornerback room, God forbid anybody gets hurt in that room besides, I don't know, Keyshawn Nixon. Keyshawn Nixon might be an addition by subtraction. Packer fans don't love Keyshawn Nixon for obvious reasons. He's not been the greatest coverage player, but they just got to stay healthy, man. This is a team that has the talent to be good, and Matt LaFleur, obviously, he's entering a big question mark here himself. Got a lot of criticism last year. Will he be able to get this team over the hump? They've been so close so many times, but we'll see. They start by going to Minnesota. Brian Flores, that's a tough game, man. Honestly, Brian Flores' defense has given Jordan Love issues, and I'm going to take the Vikings to win this game to start the season. I think the Vikings, with Kyler Murray, I feel like he's one of those quarterbacks that, he can start the season 6-2. That's very possible for the Vikings. We'll get to them later, but I do like what the Vikings do as a team, like how they run stuff. Kevin O'Connell, Brian Flores, and those guys. Very well coached team. It's just, is the personnel good enough? That's the big question for them. Week 2, they go to New York. The last time these two teams played, Sauce Gardner left the Lambeau Field with the cheese head on his hat. I don't know if you guys remember that. But I think the Packers do win this game, ultimately, though. I think they get their first win of the season against the Jets. Like I said, I think the Jets are just going to be a team in limbo this year. We'll see when we get to the AFC East where I have them winning, how many games I have them winning, that is. But we'll see. I do have them beating the Falcons in a short week. Then I have them going to Tampa Bay and winning that game, losing to Chicago, and then they get Dallas in week 6. They've had Dallas's number the last few years. They should have lost to them last year. They did, they tied in overtime, which is crazy. This game was so fun to watch last year. I was watching in the Discord with some friends or whatever. Just a great game. I think these two teams really match up with each other well because the Cowboys have so many talented receivers and the Packers secondary is just always been a question mark for the last few years, other than Xavier McKinney, and I like Evan Williams too. So let's not forget about him. Underrated safety, one of the more underrated safeties in the league. But man, this is gonna be a tough one. This is a tough one to predict. I would say it is in Green Bay, which is noteworthy. But how good is Green Bay's home field advantage nowadays? I don't know. But I'm gonna take the Packers to win this one. Ultimately, I just think they've had the Cowboys number, and I think that's gonna continue. Week 7, they go to Detroit. Detroit's coming off a mini bye, I want to say this is. I think they are coming off a bye. And I think that's going to be the difference in this one. I'm going to take the Lions to win this one at home. I think the Lions are another one of those teams that, very volatile, kind of like the Saints. They could be a 7-win team if their defense disappoints, or it could be an 11, 12-win team. But I'm going to have the Detroit Lions win this one. Then I got the Packers playing the Patriots in New England. That is a tough game. This one's going to be very, very tough to predict. Two very talented young quarterbacks, Jordan Love, Drake May. I think it's going to come down to coaching. And who do I think is the better coached team who is going to be well-rounded and more prepared to win the game? I'm going to take the Patriots in this one. I don't know why. It's just kind of a gut feeling. I don't really have any analysis for this one. I just think it's going to be a really good game, a really fun game in Foxborough, and I just think the Patriots are going to be the better team that day. We'll see. Like I said, could be completely wrong. Week 10, they get the Minnesota Vikings, and, like I said, I think the Minnesota Vikings are going to start to kind of fall off later in the season, and this is where I'm going to have Green Bay start to kind of maybe get hot, maybe even. But they do get their bye in Week 11, same bye as my Falcons, and then, oh, great, what are they gifted with after the bye? They get the Rams, who are also coming off a bye, in LA on a Wednesday. So that's not great. Pretty sure this is the day before Thanksgiving. It's like a Thanksgiving Eve game, something crazy. But I will say the Packers match up well with the Rams. They can give them problems. Stafford and those guys, I feel like he struggled against the Packers in the last few years. Give me the Packers, man. Give me the Packers off the bye to go to LA and knock off the Rams. And people are going to look at me crazy like, man, the Rams just got Myles Garrett, Trent McDuffie, and all these guys. They're going to go 16-1, 17-0. I'm like, it's the NFL, man. Anything can happen. Any team can lose in any given Sunday. We saw the Rams lose to the Jets a couple years ago when they went 2-14. Anything can happen. That being said, they go to New Orleans and get the win in Week 13. Then you get the Buffalo Bills in Week 14. This one's going to be interesting. Obviously, I think the Bills always give the Packers problems with Josh Allen. I feel like any team that's going against Josh Allen, you got to stop him in his legs and keep contained. And I think the Packers are going to have Micah back by this point. This is a tough game, though, man. This is a really tough game. I don't know who's really going to have the edge in this game. It's going to be a cold game in Lambeau. I'm going to take the Bills. I'm going to take the Bills in this one, but, man, this is a tough game. This is going to be one of those games I think could go either way. it's so hard to predict what the Packers are going to be this year just because of the Micah injury. And I'm going to expect it to be back around week 6 to 7 for all those kids out there. But I think Micah will be at least missing the first month of the season. I think that's safe to assume. He just got put on the PUP list. So, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. But I might have the Bills take that one. And then they're going to rebound. This is a fun game here. Jeff Hafley coming back to Lambeau. You know, that's going to be a bittersweet game for him. But I'm going to take the Packers to win that one. They're just a better team on paper. Then I got them beating Chicago in Week 16. And then Week 17, they get the Houston Texans. Going to be a very tough matchup. It is at home on a Monday night, so they get an extra break off of this. And I'm pretty sure the Texans get a mini bye too. So that's not too bad. Packers get like a 10-day break, which is crazy. And I'm going to take the Packers to win that one in Week 17. Who, I don't know, man. I'm having second thoughts about this team. Is CJ Stroud, I mean, he's the biggest of all. He's one of the bigger question marks in the entire NFL this season. If he's the 16th best quarterback in the league, the Texans could make the AFC Championship because they have such an elite defense. Give me the Texans, man. I'm gonna switch here. I'm gonna take the Texans. I know they lost to the Packers a couple of years ago on like a game-winning field goal, or maybe it was last year. It might have been last year. It was last year or 2 years ago. I don't know. But I think the Texans are a very talented, very good football team, especially on the defensive side. They probably got the best defense in the league right now. And then Week 18, they finished off against the Lions. They did lose to Detroit the first time. I'm going to take the Packers here. I know I've got a lot of division splits, but with a division like this and the NFC South, it's just, very, very tough divisions. And I got the Packers at 11-6. Got them finishing one game better than the Chicago Bears. So I would say that's probably good enough to make the playoffs. So we'll see how it ends up. But I got the Packers at 11-6 this season. So we'll see how that ages. And I think we're going to go to the Detroit Lions next. So let's get going. All right, y'all, we're on the Detroit Lions here. And I think as we go, it's going to be, a little bit quicker because we have more games done for every team. So starting with the Detroit Lions, I think I mentioned it in last video when I had them beating the Falcons. I think the biggest question mark for this team is their secondary. Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph, both stud star safeties coming off injuries. Terrion Arnold gets released. Ennis Rakestraw, second-round pick out of Missouri. He's not been good. Keith Abney, you drafted in the 5th round. He was a great pick, good value pick out of Arizona State. Is he going to turn out to be a good player? As a rookie corners are so hard to, predict and see how they're going to end up. So, going to be interesting to see how that turns out. But, you're just grasping at straws at that point. So, we'll see how that goes. Obviously, biggest question for them is their secondary. We'll see if that ends up being something that ends up being a strength for them, something that it just won't kill them. We'll see. But to get things started, they got New Orleans at home to start the season. I had the Saints upsetting Detroit to start the year. And then they got to go to Buffalo on a short week. Man, give me the Bills, man. I mean, that's just a tough start. 2 tough games to start. The Lions, just like that, are starting out 0-2. And you're like, all right, well, they're kind of in a tough spot. Then, hey, but that's great because guess who they get after that? They get Aaron Glenn returning to Detroit against the Jets. I'm going to take the Lions to bounce back and get that win there. And, man, I'm just looking at this. And I know not a lot of people are higher on Carolina or people are higher on Carolina, but this 3-game stretch right here before the bye is very nice. You get the Jets at home. Then you go to Carolina, which isn't the worst of worst things. And then you go to Arizona. I think that's a very winnable 3-game stretch, and I think they're going to win all 3 of those games. So I got them at 3-2 going into the bye week in Week 6. Coming off of Week 7, they're going to play the Packers, and I do have them winning that game. Then they got the Vikings in Week 8. I think the Vikings win this one in like one of those crazy fashion games. I feel like when these two teams play each other with good quarterback play, it's such a fun matchup because Brian Flores going against what Dan Campbell does. It's just such a fun coaching battle, and that's just something as a football fan I love to see. So I'm going to take the Vikings in that one, in kind of a close one. Then the Lions got to go to Miami. That's not the craziest, worst game. I am going to take the Lions to win that one. And then they got the Patriots in Germany. That's really fun. So they got to go overseas to play the Lions. And I'm going to say this. I think the Patriots are going to win this game, and you're going to be asking me why. You're going to have to correct me if I'm wrong here, but I saw a stat where it said that the Patriots were one of the better international teams in history. Like they're one of the better teams when they got to play international, and they win way more often than they lose. I'm not too sure exactly what the record is on that, but I do trust the Patriots to win this game. Dan Campbell and those guys obviously are a fun team, and they got a lot of opportunities to be good this season. I think they're going to be pretty good anyway, but I'm going to take the Patriots to win that one. Then I had them losing to the Buccaneers in Week 11, so kind of hitting a skid again. Then I got them bouncing back and beating the Bears on Thanksgiving, and then beating the Falcons in Week 13. And in Week 14, we only got 3 games left, right? Yep, only 3 games left to predict. They got the Titans at home. They go to Minnesota and host the Giants on a Monday night game. The Titans, man. Oh, my God. I can't wait to do the AFC South because I know so many Titans fans, and I don't know where the Titans are going to end up this year. But I'm going to be honest. Give me the Titans, man. Give me the Titans to go into Detroit and beat the Lions. And what I think, obviously, people are going to look back at the last time these two teams played and they're like, oh, they lost like 52-6. I think it was something crazy like that. I think the Titans are just such a much improved roster now, obviously, compared to what they had when they played the Lions the last time. It was Mason Rudolph as starter. But I think Cam Ward U2 is going to take a jump. They added Cardinal Tate. They added Wan'Dale Robinson. They added a lot of pieces around their young quarterback, which is what teams need to do. Obviously, that's a smart thing to do. And like I said, I don't know, man. I mean, Jared Goff, being, getting older, I don't know if we're going to get a great year from him. He was great last year. Sensational, actually. But I think if they're going to be a good offense this year, it's going to be run around Jahmyr Gibbs and, obviously distributing the ball, playing point guard to Samuel Laporta and Amon-Ra St. Brown. But give me the Titans in this one in an upset. Then they got the Vikings in Week 15. I think I had them beating them. No, I had the Vikings beating them the first time. I'm going to take the Lions in this one. I do think they could split for sure. I think that's very possible. And then they finish out by playing the Giants in Week 16. I'm going to take the Giants in this one in an upset. I think this Giants Harbaugh coaching, culture is going to be very unique and hard to predict because I feel like the Giants are going to be one of those teams, maybe not this year, but next year or the year after, they're going to have a high floor. And the ceiling could be decently high as well, but I feel like that's kind of been the case with these Harbaugh coach teams. They just always know how to get to 7, 8 wins and stay at least relevant. But with that being said, that's going to finish the Detroit Lions. And I got the Detroit Lions at 8-9 this year. Probably missing the playoffs and adding some question marks. And I'm going to throw a hot take out there for the Lions. Man, this team's going to have to think about quarterback pretty soon. I do think Jared Goff, I know he's 31 years old or 30 years old, but I think this team needs to at least think about drafting a quarterback in this year's draft. At least consider it. Weigh the options out and see what things are looking like. But Jared's not going to get any younger. And the play's just going to go down and keep going downwards. Obviously the older he gets and he's not mobile. The arm talent may fall off a little bit. So you kind of know it's getting to that time. So we'll see how that goes. I believe this is Goff's 5th year with the Lions. So I don't know, man. I don't know. This is a hard team to predict, and I just got them being a team that is just okay this year. I think they're going to be fun. They got Jahmyr Gibbs. Obviously they have offensive talent that's going to have you watching. But, man, I just don't trust this defense whatsoever. I love Aiden Hutchinson. Love Lee McNeil. Those are great players. But, man, that secondary just scares the living daylights out of me, and I don't know what they're going to do this year. So got the Lions at 8-9, probably missing the playoffs. So we'll finish out here with the Minnesota Vikings. Last and certainly not least, we got the Minnesota Vikings, and I just realized I have them starting 3-0. So I'm kind of sticking to my guns saying that the Vikings are going to be a team that starts out hot. Obviously, let's just get it out of the way. The biggest question mark for this team is the quarterback position. Kyler Murray signed here on a vet minimum deal. Obviously, the Cardinals are paying him the rest of the money, so it doesn't matter. Kyler's playing with free money this year. If he's good and he plays great, he can get an extension with this team. If he doesn't play great and J.J. McCarthy has to come back in, this team is screwed. And they'll probably let him walk in free agency if he plays really bad. So Kyler Murray himself is playing for everything. Obviously, he's not making a lot of money this year under the Vikings. So, if the Vikings do let him walk free agency, it's not a big loss. You're only paying him $1.2 million. And, if he does play good enough this year to warrant a second contract with the team, then, he might get, $45, $50 million a year. So we'll see how he does. But like I said, I have them starting out 3-0, and they're really hot. And then they got the Miami Dolphins week 4. I'm going to be honest, man. The Dolphins got to win a game at some point. I know people are like, oh, well, who's it going to be? It's going to be the Minnesota Vikings. I think the Dolphins are going to get their first win of the season in week 4 against the Vikings. I'm going to be honest. I have no idea why. I just think it's going to be one of those games that the Dolphins just figure things out and get things going at the right way. Malik Willis might be all right this year. We'll see, but it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. After that, they got the Saints, and then they go to a bye week. And then coming off the bye, they got the Indianapolis Colts, who were a very hot team later in the season last year. But, man, dude, I just love the Vikings offense, man. They're so fun. Justin Jefferson, one of the best players in the league, man. He's got to earn his respect back. Last year, he still had 1,000 yards, which, I feel like 1,000 yards now is kind of a low bar for receivers, but still at least had a productive year from that standpoint, but only scored twice the whole season. Definitely want to see Justin Jefferson go off this year. I love Justin Jefferson. He's been such a fun player to watch. But that has nothing to do with the Colts. I do think they're going to beat the Colts, however. I think the Colts are kind of a middle-of-the-road team this year. Kind of same thing with the Vikings, but this is a pick 'em game, honestly. This game's probably like a 1.5, 2.5 point spread going into it if the teams are healthy. After that, I got them beating the Lions. So this Vikings team, man, they are what are they right now? 7-1 going into the Buffalo game. And here's why I think things are going to start to get a little tough here. I think they're going to lose to Buffalo. Monday night game. It is at home, which is nice, but it's still going to be a tough game. Then I got them losing to the Packers in Week 10. And once they start losing these games, when do they think about turning to J.J. McCarthy? I don't know if Kyler starts to struggle. But I think Kyler's going to start out the year super good. Like, I think they're going to be, what would this be? Yeah, 7-1. No, my bad. I'm losing to the Saints. So I'm at 7-2. Or 6-2. Yeah. So I think they're going to be in a good spot going into, like, the Buffalo game Week 9 regardless. I'm trying to think. Am I slow? I think. Okay, so they've only played 6 games. So that would have them at 4-2, then 5-2. I'd have them at 5-2 going into Week 8, which is nice. But then I have them losing to the Bills, losing to the Packers, 2 just tough teams, tough matchups, division opponent on the road, and then Buffalo at home. That's just tough. Then they go to San Francisco, but it's actually not in San Francisco. It's in Mexico. And I'm going to take the Niners in that game. I just think that the better coach team, more talented team, kind of there. I think Kyle Shanahan has had the Vikings number as well. So I'm going to take the Niners in that one. Then I have them losing to the Falcons. And I do have them beating Carolina, bouncing back in Week 13. And then they go to New England, which is tough. And I'm going to take the Patriots in that game as well. It's a short Week 2 on top of that, so that's tough. I have them losing to the Lions in Week 15, which we already discussed. Then they got to play Washington Week 16. On a short week, they get, a Saturday game. That's tough. That's not great. Washington's another tough team to predict this year. How good is Jane Daniels going to be in year 3 coming off the injuries he sustained last year? New offense coordinator. I think they're going to be good enough to beat Minnesota in Week 16. So I'm going to give me the Commanders there. And then the Vikings got to go to the Jets in Week 17 before finishing in Chicago, or against Chicago at home. The Jets are a team they should beat, right? They really should. But I'm going to be honest here, man. I think the Vikings, once they get to about the Week 14 stretch, I think they're going to bench Kyler Murray and be like, oh, yeah, we're sick of this. We're losing too many games. And I'm going to have them, I think J.J. McCarthy is going to come in around Week 15 or so. Or if Kyler his play could just fall off. That also could be possible, so we'll see. But I'm going to say that Week 15 or so, Kyler's not playing great or J.J. McCarthy's in, and they're just going to drop these last 4 games. Or what would it be, 5 games? So I got the Vikings really struggling to finish the season. I got them at 6-11. Probably going to be a top 10 pick team. And I think they're going to be looking for a quarterback again. I just think this is a team that needs to kind of bottom out because I feel like that all the players they acquired a couple years ago when they were good are starting to age and get older. TJ Hawkinson. You got to pay Jordan Addison coming up. You have no running back depth or, running back room for the future. Obviously, you drafted DeMond Claiborne in the 6th round, 5th round. And you got Aaron Jones, who's 31, and Jordan Mason, who can't hold on to the football. So that's a big question mark, man. I think the Vikings have too many question marks for me, especially at the biggest position at quarterback. I just think they're going to be the worst team in this division this year. Like I said, hopefully we'll see how that ages. But looking at the NFC North, we got the Packers winning the division at 11-6. We got the Chicago Bears, as of right now, making the playoffs at 10-7. We'll see if that changes as we go. I got the Lions just missing at 8-9, and the Minnesota Vikings at 6-11. Make sure to let me know what you guys think, man. Hopefully these age well, and if they do, great. If they don't, we come back and look at this in however many months, and I look like an idiot. That's fine too, because that's what makes these videos fun. So make sure to let me know what division you guys want next in the comments below. Might go ahead and just finish out the NFC. May do the NFC West next if nobody else has any certain specific ones they want to see. But yeah, man, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. It's your boy, the Football Falcon, and I am out. Peace.